What if some of the most spectacular places on Earth were created by something as simple as falling water? From enormous walls of water stretching across entire landscapes to hidden waterfalls deep inside ancient forests, these places show just how powerful nature can be. Today, we're counting down 10 of the most incredible waterfalls on Earth. And number 1 is surrounded by one of the most dramatic landscapes in the world. Let's begin. On Iceland's southern coast, a thin curtain of water falls more than 60 meters from ancient cliffs. This is Seljalandsfoss. But what makes it special isn't just its height. A path allows visitors to walk behind the waterfall. From there, the world looks completely different. Water crashes down directly in front of you while the landscape stretches toward Iceland's rugged coastline. When the sun appears through the falling water, rainbows can form inside the mist. It's one of those rare places where you don't simply look at a waterfall, you experience it from inside the landscape. Deep inside the forests of Croatia lies one of Europe's most beautiful natural landscapes, Plitvice. Lakes National Park is famous for a series of turquoise lakes connected by hundreds of waterfalls and cascades. Wooden walkways wind through the forest, crossing clear water and passing directly beside the falls. The colors are extraordinary. Depending on the light and minerals in the water, the lakes can appear bright blue, turquoise, or emerald green. And because the waterfalls are spread throughout the park, every turn reveals another view. It feels less like a single waterfall and more like an entire world created by water. Number 8. Iguazu Falls, Argentina and Brazil. Few waterfalls can match the sheer scale of Iguazu. Located on the border between Argentina and Brazil, the system contains hundreds of individual waterfalls spread across nearly 3 kilometers. Water pours over enormous cliffs surrounded by lush rainforest. From above, the falls appear endless. From below, the sound becomes overwhelming. And then there is the most dramatic section of all, the Devil's Throat. Here, enormous amounts of water disappear into a massive gorge surrounded by clouds of mist. Iguazu isn't just a waterfall, it's an entire landscape in motion. Number 7. Victoria Falls, Zambia and Zimbabwe. On the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe, the Zambezi River suddenly drops into a gigantic gorge. This is Victoria Falls. Local traditions have given it a powerful name, the smoke that thunders. And when you see the falls during high water levels, it's easy to understand why. A huge cloud of spray rises above the gorge and can be seen from miles away. From the surrounding viewpoints, the river seems to vanish into the earth. During certain periods, rainbows can appear in the mist, creating an incredible contrast between the green landscape, white water, and deep canyon below. Number 6. Gullfoss, Iceland. Another Icelandic waterfall takes our number 6 spot. Gullfoss. Unlike Seljalandsfoss, Gullfoss doesn't fall in one simple vertical drop. Instead, the Vita River plunges through 2 enormous stages into a deep canyon. The result is a waterfall that seems to disappear into the landscape. On sunny days, rainbows often appear above the rushing water. In winter, ice and snow transform the surrounding cliffs into a completely different world. Gullfoss is one of the clearest examples of Iceland's incredible geological power. Deep inside Venezuela's Canema National Park stands the world's highest uninterrupted waterfall. Angel Falls drops from the top of Ollantaytambo, a gigantic tabletop mountain rising above the surrounding rainforest. The water falls for hundreds of meters before reaching the pools below. From a distance, the waterfall can almost disappear into the enormous landscape around it. Clouds often gather around the mountain, making the summit look like it's floating above the jungle. It's remote, dramatic, and unlike almost any other waterfall on Earth. Number 4. Yosemite Falls. USA California's Yosemite National Park is home to one of North America's most famous waterfalls. Yosemite Falls plunges down the granite cliffs above Yosemite Valley, The surrounding landscape is just as spectacular. Massive rock formations rise on both sides of the valley, while forests stretch across the valley floor. In spring, when snow melts in the Sierra Nevada, the waterfall becomes especially powerful. From the valley below, it looks enormous. From higher viewpoints, the scale becomes even more impressive. Yosemite Falls shows how waterfalls can become part of an entire mountain landscape rather than simply standing alone. Number 3. Kayatur Falls, Guyana hidden. Deep inside the rainforest of Guyana is a waterfall that remains surprisingly unknown to much of the world. Kayatur Falls. The Potaro River plunges over a massive sandstone cliff, creating one of the world's most powerful single-drop waterfalls. What makes the location especially remarkable is its surroundings. There are no huge cities nearby, no massive resorts, just rainforest stretching in every direction. The waterfall appears almost completely isolated from civilization. That remoteness gives Kayatur an atmosphere that many famous waterfalls have lost. It feels like discovering a secret corner of the planet. Some waterfalls are famous because they are remote. Niagara Falls is famous for exactly the opposite reason. It has become one of the world's most recognizable natural landmarks. Millions of liters of water rush over the falls every minute, creating an enormous wall of white water. From the viewpoints, the power is obvious. Mist rises constantly above the falls. At night, artificial lighting transforms the water into a completely different spectacle. And from above, the scale becomes even easier to understand. Niagara may be one of the most visited waterfalls on Earth, but standing beside it still makes one thing obvious. Nature is incredibly powerful. And at number 1, we're heading to one of the most dramatic landscapes on Earth, Milford Sound. Located on New Zealand's South Island, this spectacular fjord is surrounded by enormous mountains, deep forests, and countless waterfalls. After rainfall, hundreds of temporary waterfalls can appear along the cliffs. Some plunge hundreds of meters directly into the dark water below. Mist often hangs between the mountains, making the entire fjord look almost unreal. And because the waterfalls are surrounded by such enormous cliffs, their scale becomes difficult to comprehend. This isn't simply a waterfall destination, it's an entire landscape built around water, and that's why Milford Sound takes the number 1 spot. From Iceland and Croatia to South America, Africa, North America, and New Zealand, these waterfalls show just how dramatically water can shape our planet. Some are enormous, some are hidden, and some become part of landscapes so beautiful they barely look real. But which one would you want to see with your own eyes? Let us know in the comments, and subscribe for more incredible places around the world.